What is up, everybody? Man, it's a nice rainy day out today. So in this video, we are rebuilding a 1989 Polaris 250 Trail Boss 2-stroke air-cooled motor. So what's going to be in this video is the rebuild and then it running afterwards and such. And I'm gonna, at the close to the end of the video, I'm gonna do some explaining on the different types of motors that these ATVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, blah blah blah. I'm gonna kind of explain all of that at the end of this video while I'm riding the quad itself. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you gotta do. There'll be more. We'll be in the shop quite often, and this is through the seasons outdoors with another day in the shop. Thanks for watching. And Nellie appreciates it too. Right there, girl? Yep. She don't like the thunderstorm that's going on. Holy crap, it is really coming down out there. Dang. We're doing a rebuild on this Polaris 250 1989. Top end rebuild on it. Lost compression on the first test ride. Don't know what happened. We got to tear into this in order to find out what's going on with it. So that's what we're going to do. We got to take all the plastics, all the front racks off, and get everything off and see what's going on with the motor. Up and get all the nooks and crannies all smoothed out. That way that piston slides in and out of here nice and smoothly. We already started on this one. That one's nice and smooth. We're working on this one over here. So all I'm using is a little Dremel tool. That's all you need, because it gets a little bit, I don't know if you can see inside of there or not. Here, bring it over. See inside of there, all the rough edges and stuff need to come off of there, and then there's some little imperfections from the factory we need to take care of on this new cylinder, so that's what we're going to sit here and do. Now that we cleaned up most of the rough spots in here, And in here, the intake, here, you want to get in there and see that? Cleaned it up nice and fancy, and then we gave it a hone job. Got some nice cross hatching going on in there. Now we're going to gap the rings. So how you do that is you take an old rag, set it underneath the cylinder, over like this. Take some 2-stroke oil, just like this, and you put a gracious amount on the inside of the cylinder here. That way we don't scar it or scratch it from putting the rings in there. Be generous about it, and that way when you're feeling around in here you can feel for any foreign material that shouldn't be in here. Just a little bit right there. Just a touch more in there, let it wash down. Walls. We'll reapply it as needed going forward with this project, but now we aren't wiping off any of the oil or anything. So these, you say they're pre-gapped, but I don't think we trust that. So what you do, bring that over here, is you slide the ring in there. Slide it down about that far, about an inch or so. Ring and stuff like that is going to be different. Oh yeah, it does. Gaskets off. Boy, I gotta find a great angle.
So do I, to be honest.
She is all sorts of shiny and clean, ready for gaskets. We are back. Gonna put this 250 together now. Got the rings in and away we go.
good or no?
Oh yeah. She's running just peachy. Gotta figure out what's going on with this carburetor now. What is up? So we're heading back to the shop. The rebuild's got done and we're gonna go for a little test ride today. We got tornado warnings and everything, but I think we'll be all right. So that's what we're doing. I got my little puppy with me. Big gear. So yeah, I'll show you guys that she runs good. So we're back here at the shop. We got the quad going. So we're gonna take her for a break-in run. Here we go. Woohoo! Let's check the fuel first. Make sure there's enough in there. Yeah, that looks like there's some in there. Let's take a look-ski. Uh-huh. Yep, there's some in there. So, looks good to me. Alrighty, let's take her for a run. Da, da, da. Here we go. What is up? We're in the office today. Doing some fancy editing. Anywho, I wanted to explain a little bit about how the coolant system of motors work and what's reliable, what's not. In the video that you're going to be watching, what's going on is it's a Polaris 250 with a 2-stroke air-cooled motor. And I'm going to explain the differences in the cooling systems and the reliability and so on and so forth. Not so much how the motor works, but how the cooling system and how it makes it not reliable and such. But anyway, it's a Polaris 250 2-stroke air-cooled motor. And with that being said, I don't like those very much. They aren't very reliable because the cooling consistency of that motor, on a hot day it runs hotter, on a cold day it runs colder, if that makes sense. The only way to cool that motor is with the fins on the motor itself, so it's solely reliant on cooling on them fins, or with them fins. But if you got a liquid 2-stroke, liquid cooled 2-stroke, that means water's flowing through the engine block itself, cooling it, or coolant, water, whatever you want to call it. And it makes it a little bit more reliable. It's still a 2-stroke though, but the engine temperature is always running at a pretty consistent temperature within 20-30 degrees. An air-cooled 2-stroke or 4-stroke runs the head and or not the, yeah the head, the cylinder, and the motor itself runs at about 320 to 390 degrees Fahrenheit. So air cooleds also are known for less power because they run so hot. The cooler the motor, the more power you get. But if you get it so cold, then that'll cold seize, which is a bad gig all the way around. Save that for a different day, different video. But anywho, so with all of that, let's go on to the 4-strokes. Now the 4-strokes air cooled does have a little bit of liquid cooling power via the oil that flows through them. 2-strokes don't have oil that flow through them. 4-strokes do, because they got valves, cams, and rollers and blah blah blah. So that's the efficiency. Then the liquid cooled 4-stroke, now that's where you're going to get the most reliability. That's in your trucks, cars, pretty much everything that in today's standards runs. Back in the day, Volkswagen had an air cooled motor, and they still use those in buggies and stuff today because you don't have to, you know, radiators are bulky. You don't have to carry around the radiator and such. So other than that, that's kind of how it's explained in a very short, tiny little video. And we are back again in the office. The video that you are watching right now, I'm riding a POLARIS 250 2-stroke air-cooled motor that we just rebuilt. So we got to go through break-in, which we're doing the initial break-in right now. As you're watching this video, you'll be able to see my thumb and kind of hear in the background the motor RPMs do not stay consistent. When you're breaking in a motor 2 or 4, do not ever keep the RPMs consistent. Now me personally, how I break in motors is I don't run them very hard at the start. Some people say, oh yeah, you know, just floor it and ride it like you're gonna ride it forever and blah blah blah. Well, 4-strokes you might be able to get away with it and have it last a little bit longer, but 2-strokes I don't recommend that. Like, I don't, because they seem pretty fragile and prone to blowing up regardless. I mean, that's just a maintenance thing on 2-strokes, is rebuilding them. But to ensure longevity and reliability, it is imperative that you break it in right to procedure, how I'm going to explain here in a second. So what I do is I mix the gas really heavy at a ratio of 16:1 oil and gas for the gasoline mixture, and that seems to work pretty good. You can even go heavier if you want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This one's pretty heavy. This one's a little bit heavier than 16:1. It's a heavy 16:1 that I usually say. But anyway, so we'll do that for 3 full tanks, varying the throttle position and the RPMs of the motor the whole way through with all 3 tanks. Now the first tank I usually try to keep it under half throttle, you know, keeping it only at half throttle, maybe little blips to 3/4, you know, for about 2 to 3 seconds. Now the second tank, you can ride it a little bit harder, you know, get up to speed a little bit quicker, you know, hold it at 3/4 of a throttle up to like 5-6 seconds and then let off. But even while you're sitting there putzing around, make sure you do not hold that throttle steady at all. That way the rings seat into the cylinder wall perfectly. And then for the third tank, you could run it all the way up to full throttle, but only for 2 or 3 seconds at full throttle, no matter what. And then just keep varying the RPMs. The engine will get smoother and it'll be knocking off, because what you're doing is you're knocking off impurities that when you got that cylinder honed or bored or bought a kit like I did, there's imperfections from the factory on the rings, on the cylinder bore, everything, on the piston, that need to get kind of wore in, and if you do it too quickly, that could cause catastrophic failure and make your motor blow up again, which we do not want to do. So that's how you properly break in a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke motor. Now the 4-strokes, they need a little bit, only quarter throttle through the first tank, like, and vary it. Do not run 4-strokes because they got a lot more components to wear in, because you got to get the valves all seated in there and wore in. You got to get the rings and the oil rings and the piston and the cylinder all to seat in and flow with itself. So with that being said, that's how you break in a motor. Cool. So that was a little test run. Woohoo! 2-stroke utility quad, not cool in my opinion, but hey, that's my opinion. You know, it's a nice little cruiser. Got the 450, which is shut down. Man, I was looking forward to working on this, but we'll get to that later on in life. I'll post up the first day. I've already started working on this. That's what we're gonna do tomorrow. No, Monday. Monday, yeah. We're gonna work on that on Monday. The carburetor's sitting right here. All nice and shiny and stuff. Cleaned her up the best we could. And then hopefully that will make this thing run. It's been sitting outside and such, so it's kind of a rough gigaroony here with this one. But yeah, so then we'll get the motor for the log splitter, and don't know what's going on with this yet. So anywho, let me take this off quick and like, subscribe, tell us how it was, how you liked it, whatever, comment, share, do whatever. So yeah, we'll be back in here in the next couple days, and I will see you guys later.